Hello, hello, hello. What's going on, Facebook? How's it going? Instagram Live. Excited about tonight. Getting ready to share something that I really believe is going to be impactful in regards to this topic of does your pain serve a purpose that you don't see yet? Does your pain serve a purpose that you don't see yet? So for everybody that is watching on Facebook Live, let me know if you can actually hear me. Say hello, wave, whatever you want to do, just to let me know that you can actually hear me clearly. And also on Instagram Live, two things. I have a link in my bio that will allow you to join the Facebook Live if you want to do it that way. But also, I would encourage you to share this out as well to your friends, because I think this is going to really help some people when it comes to living this thing out that we call purpose. Okay. And so when it comes to this particular thing, I wanted to sort of start off by just sharing a little bit of my story, just to show you why I'm passionate about this topic altogether. I think this is kind of the point to where it sort of like makes everything make sense to a certain extent. And so with that being said, before we get live on Facebook as well, if you don't mind, like, share this live, comment as well, because I really believe that this is going to help some people out. So yeah, share the live. All right. So let's get right to it. The first thing I want to start with is saying, like, thank you all for coming. You all being here just lets me further know that this is a topic that is important. It's a topic that many people want to have more answers as it relates to this topic of purpose. Hello, Miss Barbara, Auntie Barbara, and hello, Mama Sorrell. How y'all doing? When it comes to this particular topic. And so I want to start out by sharing my story when it comes to something, a very, very pivotal moment in my life. So many of you know me. Y'all know the Daniel or Junior, whatever one y'all refer to me as. Y'all know me as a very energetic person, life of the party type of person, someone that is always, down for a good time. But with that being said, there are some moments that I would like to share that sort of have defined me and have allowed me to really understand more when it comes to this topic when it relates to purpose. I want you all to know more about me. So with that being said, back in 2009, many don't know this story, but back in 2009, I had made it to a very, very low point in my life. When I was young, I had a lot of hopes and dreams. Like many people that grew up in the South, I was big into sports, and I wanted to make it professional. I had this dream, I had this goal of going to the NFL, and that was everything. My big brother, Tony, he made it to the NFL, and in my eyes, that was going to be my way of making it out to be successful in life. And so I set out that goal. I played high school football, and I even had an opportunity to play in college. I played at Alabama State. And so fast forward a little bit to 2009, I had made some decisions in life that sort of cut my dream that I had as a child. It cut it short, and I didn't end up living that dream out. And in 2009, I had reached a low point in my life. Like I said, I had gotten to a place to where I was depressed. Just think about this. You had these goals, you had these dreams, you had something that you really wanted to do with your life, and you make it to a place to where you realize that that's not going to happen. And that's the place that I was at. I was working at FedEx Kinko's. I was a college graduate, and I'm just sitting there one day, and I'm making copies, and I asked myself this question, like, is this really what life has come to? All these goals, all these aspirations, all these dreams that you had, like what was it? Should I even dream anymore? On top of that, I had some health challenges. Like I had just gotten out of the hospital for 2 weeks. I had a ulcer, and it was bleeding, and it was a really, really bad thing because I woke up one day and I was throwing up, and it was all black. And I never forget this. I was getting ready to say, you know what, it's okay. You know what, I'll just take something to go to sleep, and maybe I'll wake up and feel better. But I have a sister. Her name is Marquita, and I called her because I always call her when I have medical problems and things like that. And I was like, hey, this is what's going on. And she said, hey, you have to go to the hospital right now. This is an emergency. And I'm like, I feel bad, but I don't feel like I feel that bad, right? And so I end up being hospitalized for 2 weeks. And I end up getting out of the hospital. I end up going to work. And, I'm just going through the motions. But really, I have so many different things that I'm battling with. I'm battling with not feeling like I'm successful in my career. I'm battling with not feeling like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. And not only that, relationship challenges and things like that were all going on. And I go home one day and I make this decision that, man, life sucks. Life sucks. And not only does life suck, I no longer want to live life the way that I see it now. Part of the reason why I made that decision is because I didn't see life getting any better than what it was. I had been focused on all the things that weren't going right with my life, and I really didn't see anything that wasn't going right with my life, and I really didn't see the light on the other side of the tunnel. I didn't see things getting better. I was just stuck, and I was like, man, this is not, if life doesn't get better than what it is right now, then I don't want to continue to live it. And so with that being said, I was sitting there in my car, and I had made a decision that I was going to end this. I was going to commit suicide, and I said, "Man, this is it. Like I don't want to do this anymore." And so I'm sitting there in my car. I'm sitting there with this gun, and I'm just sitting there, man, like contemplating this moment of ending it all. And when I was there, I was getting ready to put this gun to my head, and I was like, you know what, I can't just do this and not let my family know something about what's going on. So I end up reaching out to my best friend, and I sent him a letter or a note that I wanted him to give my family. You see, a lot of times when we battle in silence. Most people don't know about the challenges that you're facing, and that's where I was at as well. Nobody knew. My brothers, my sisters, my mom, my dad, my cousins, nobody knew what was going on. And I didn't just want to commit suicide without, just leaving them with questions like, what in the world was going on? Like, why did he do this? And so what I did was I wrote a text message to my best friend, and I told him this is what I want you to tell my family about what was going on. And I remember he shot off a couple of text messages back to me in that moment. And I read them, but then I cut off my phone immediately because I really didn't want him to deter me from what was going on. But what he did in that particular moment is he got me away from thinking about just what I was going through, and he made me contemplate things. And in that moment of contemplation, what I did was I thought back to my family. I'm the youngest of 11 children, but I have 3 brothers, and I have 2 sisters and 1 brother that passed away by the time I was 14. And I remember just the hurt and the pain that I felt when my brothers and sisters, passed away. I remember asking questions like, God, why did this have to happen to us? What did I do? What did my family do, to deserve this? And what I realized in that particular moment is that I was about to put my family through that same pain all over again. They were going to have questions. They were going to have hurt. They were going to have pain. They were going to just be dealing with some things that I was actually going to cause them. And so in that moment, I decided not to go forth with it. I didn't feel any better about my situation. But the one thing that I realized is that, man, I can't put my family through this. I can't put my mom and dad through this. I can't by my own actions, make my mom and dad have to go through, the death of another son, and it being because, I committed suicide. And so that was the first day that I decided to live. And what I ended up doing after that, I went to bed that night, and I woke up the next day, and I felt the very same. I didn't feel like, life was any better. But this was the second day that I decided that life was worth living. And so what I ended up doing is I said, man, I need to start journaling this. And so I started every day. I just woke up and I said, I have to find a reason to live. And so I would write down, okay, what is my reason to live for today? And then I would go about that day. And the next day I would do the same thing. I would find a reason to live. I would write it down and I would actually continue on with that day. And after so many days, I started reading through all these reasons that I found to live. And what I realized is that my focus had been in all the wrong places. Like my focus had been on all the challenges that I was facing, but my focus hadn't been on all these reasons that I had to live, my family, my friends, the impact that I had, just the joy that people say that I bring, to them when I'm around. I hadn't been focused on that thing. I was only focusing on the pain. And so I want to fast forward a little bit when it comes to that, because I want to piece this thing together. And so I remember later on, it was in 2014. Let me piece together a little bit something for that. That same year, I ended up relocating to Arizona. The friend that I reached out to, he gave me an opportunity to just get out of that situation I was in. Maybe a change of scenery, would change things up for me. And so I ended up moving to Arizona. And when I moved there, I ended up starting a different career. Things were moving what I thought was in a good direction. But in 2014, I had this moment that sort of defined something that could have been purpose for me. And so a friend of mine reached out, had posted on Facebook about her friend that committed suicide. And she was trying to understand, like, what in the world happened? Like, why would somebody commit suicide? He didn't talk to me about it. Like, I didn't even know. And in that moment, I ended up reaching out to her because I wanted her to, number one, know that, hey, I had been there, but to also make some sense of this thing for her. And so in that conversation that we had, it was one of the first moments that I realized that, man, like, what I've gone through could actually serve some type of purpose. It can help somebody out. I had done some research during that time that let me know that there's like 800,000 people that commit suicide a year. Think about that, 800,000 people. And so with that being said, I was like, man, there's a lot of people that are going through these same feelings, these same emotions, these same challenges, these same problems that I had. And it had me sitting there thinking about, like, man, like there has to be something that's done about this. And so I had this aha moment. I was reading through Revelation 12 and 11, and it says that, we have the beginning part of that verse. It says, we have overcome them by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. Right. And I remember sitting there thinking about that. It says, we have overcome him by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. And that stood out to me so much because I was like the work that God has done, that the work that God was supposed to do is already done. The blood of the Lamb is obviously Jesus, the work that he did on the cross. But it says we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. So it let me realize that, man, God has already done the work that he is supposed to do, but we have work to do. I have work to do in helping people overcome these challenges that they're going through. And so that got me to thinking, like, man, like, you mean that there's something that there's a role that I play, there's a role that we play in making sure that people can overcome these challenges that they're going through in life? And so many of you know that I started a t-shirt brand back in 2014, and all this was happening at the same time. The reason I started that t-shirt brand was because I was thinking about this, like wanting to do something about people that were battling things in silence. And so my thought at the beginning was like, man, what if I could create, these encouraging shirts with messages of hope, that even if you don't get an opportunity to have a conversation with somebody, like, that message may be able to reach them. That message may be able to give them hope. That message may make them not make a decision, a permanent decision, based off something that is temporary. And so that was the aha moment that I had, and I sort of pushed forward with that, and like knowing that, hey, I'm supposed to do something. There was a desire that sparked inside of me that I wanted to help people with this particular challenge that they were going through. But I also want to sort of stress that it's not only me that has an opportunity to help people with these challenges that they're going through, but you also have the ability to help people with their challenges that they're going through. You see, the passion that I had that made me start my clothing line was because of the experience that I had. I wanted to encourage people to keep fighting, to keep moving on, to overcome the battles that they're going through. But what I realized is that my story can't connect with everybody. Like, the challenges that I go through are just the challenges that I've gone through. I haven't gone through the challenges that the millions of people have gone through, or the billions of people that have gone through in the world. But you have gone through some challenges that have created some passion inside of you that make you think, like, man, like, why isn't somebody doing something about this? Like, when I researched and realized that 800,000 people commit suicide a year, the thing that I said was like, man, like, why isn't somebody doing something about this? Like, what resources are there available to help people that are struggling with life, that are just battling these things in silence? And because that was something that I had gone through, I was passionate about doing something about that particular issue. And so therefore I then took action. But at the same time, you have some things that you've gone through that create these passion moments within inside of you that make you ask questions about, like, why isn't somebody doing something about this? And my encouragement to you is that, is somebody supposed to do something about this? Maybe that somebody is you. Like, maybe that somebody is you. Like, I don't connect with everybody, right? You don't connect with everybody, but there's a group of people that we have been assigned to with our lives. And with that assignment, I believe that we are supposed to do something about it. Like, we all have the ability to make an impact. And I believe these challenges, these adversities, these things that we go through in life are actually pinpointing and guiding us to a place of purpose. But we have to find a way to make sense in order for it to be something that's purposeful. Are y'all following me? Does that make sense what I'm saying? Let me know if this is making sense. Right? And so one thing that I want to say is that, with that being said, like, many people are stuck with problems that you're the solution to. All right, I'm going to say that again. Many people are stuck with problems that you are the solution to, right? And so when I think about my challenge and the problems that I have, I said that, man, I want to do something about this. I created a solution that was these t-shirts, right? And the same thing with you. You have overcome some challenges within your life, right? And some people are right now in that place that you are at. And what I want you to realize is that you are more powerful. You have more impact on the inside of you than maybe what you realize. Like when you think about what you overcame and the process that you went to overcome that, like, somebody right now is thinking about, man, how do I get over this? And they don't have anybody that they know, nobody from their side of the tracks, nobody in their life that they know that actually has overcome this particular battle. And because of that, they don't think that there's hope. And what I want us to realize is that you are designed to be the hope that somebody needs for them to keep fighting. You are that boost of energy. You are that motivation that will let somebody know that, man, I can keep going because I see that it's possible. Like, you are that ray of hope. You are that beacon of hope. You are that sunshine, that light at the end of the tunnel that somebody needs in order for them to keep going on with life. That's the part that I want us to focus on when it comes to turning our pain into purpose. Are y'all following me? Y'all with me? Okay. So what I want to talk about now is, how do you do it, right? I've talked about, my story, but I've also highlighted your stories and how they could play a role in changing the lives of many people around. With that being said, the first thing I want to say is that we have to embrace our stories. All right. I'm going to make this more personal. You have to embrace your story. Okay. Yes, it may have been difficult, what you've gone through, but you're going to have to sit with that thing and realize that this is your life. This is your life. And it's perfectly fine what you've gone through. It's perfectly fine. But until we embrace that this is our life, we won't share our stories, right? Because we're like, oh man, like, I'm embarrassed. Like, I can't believe I made it to that particular place in my life. And we feel some type of way about this. We have to stop being embarrassed about the things that we've gone through, and we have to overcome those things and realize that those things that we're going through are actually preparing us for a moment that we can impact other people. Like, I didn't know that challenge that I went through was going to, down the road, allow me to have a conversation with somebody for them to make sense of this whole thing that their friend had done when it came to committing suicide. I even say some more things. I've had many moments in my life to where I've talked to people. I mentioned yesterday when I went live that I was substitute teaching at a school. And when I was substitute teaching in the school, there was this 13-year-old girl, and she was at the point of wanting to commit suicide. And she was telling me about how she was bullied. She's talking about how her family, didn't grow up with money, and she felt less than. She was like, she didn't feel like her life was meant to do anything. You see, in that particular moment, the thing that I realized is that my story, my life now had the ability to assist this 13-year-old girl from doing something as bad as committing suicide. And so I sprung into action. I talked to her. I encouraged her. The first thing I did was I empathized, because I let her know that I had been in that same place too. And she was like, you seem so positive. You seem like you're always happy. I said, yes, I understand. I know what it seems like, but let me tell you about what I went through and what got me to that place and how I went through this process of overcoming that. You see, that's the place that we have to get to. Like, if I never embraced my story, then it would have never gotten me to the place to where I could realize that it served a purpose in the lives of others. Does that make sense? Like, it serves a purpose in the lives of others. And so embracing our story means that we have to get over like being, like I said, ashamed of it, but getting to the place where we realize that, hey, this is my life. Now, what would I do with the life that I have? Like, your story is another, like how you feel about your story right now can completely change if we not only embrace it, but we utilize that story to make a powerful impact in the lives of so many others. And I think that's the key when it comes to this. And that's step number one. The second thing that I want us to talk about is that when it comes to, what do you do to sort of get to this place of purpose, you have to identify your lane. All right. You're going to have to identify your lane. And the reason why I say you have to identify your lane, because there may be multiple things that you're passionate about. There may be multiple things that you've gone through, many challenges that you have faced. And so you may have these questions about like, okay, like, what am I supposed to do? I have all these challenges that I've gone through. Like, where do I begin? The reason why you have to identify your lane is because it's going to be the lens that you utilize to say yes and no to things in life. And the way I went about doing that is that I had to create a mission for my life. I had to create a mission for my life that said, okay, what is Daniel supposed to do with his life? And the mission statement that I came up with is that I am here to use my adversity to help others overcome, right? I am here to use my adversity to help others overcome. And when I wrote that out, I was like, man, like, okay, that's what I am called to do. That is my lane. That's my purpose point. And that's what I should be focusing my time and attention on. And so what I don't do is that when somebody presents an opportunity, because there are going to be career opportunities, there are going to be business opportunities, there are going to be opportunities in your life. And what happens at times is that we get opportunity overload. We think, well, I can do this with my life, or I can do this, or I can do that. And yes, that's true. You can do a lot of things with your life. But what are you supposed to be doing with your life? Like, what are you supposed to be doing? When we have a specific mission that we know that we're called to do, when somebody presents an opportunity, or let's not even talk about somebody else presenting an opportunity, when you have a good idea and you think that this is something that you should be doing with your life, will you say no to you because you know what you should be doing versus what you think you should be doing? Does that make sense? Like, will you say no to things that are good so you can say yes to what's great, right? Can you say yes to what's great? And when you have a specific mission in your life, it allows you to say yes to the right things so that you can have the focus that your life needs in order for you to obtain and accomplish the mission and the vision and the purpose that your life was created to achieve. So the mission in life is simple. Like with me, my mission is what I want to do. But the second piece of that is the vision. The vision makes things more clear because the vision is how do you go about doing that? And so for me in my life, it says, okay, now I know what my mission is. How am I going to go about doing that? I'm before you today because this is the vision for my life. Like I know that I have to share very vulnerable, very challenging, very difficult things to share in order for me to have the impact that my life was meant to have, right? In order for me to connect with the people that I'm supposed to connect with. And I realize that I'm not going to connect with everybody, and that's okay. But I want you to do the same thing. I want you to know what you're supposed to do and how you're going to go about doing it. Because when you realize what, and then you also realize how, then you will actually take the steps that are necessary for you to walk in your lane and not think about what other people are doing. Like I'm not worried about what people are doing in other lanes. You know why? Because that's not my lane. And I think a lot of times we get into a place to where we're looking to our right and we're looking to our left because we're thinking about, man, should I do that? We don't have a direct mission and vision for our lives. And so we get caught up in looking left, right, and whatever which way, because we don't know the direct pathway that we should be walking in. And so that's why the second step, the first thing, embrace your story, all the elements of it, and know your story. Like I have my story written out because I want to get comfortable with it. Some of us don't even know all the different elements of our story. And so we have to write that thing out to see, man, we've been through a lot of different things, and to realize the way that story and the way your life can play a role in the lives of so many other people, right? And the second thing is identify your lane. With your story, what lane are you meant to travel down, right? What lane, what pathway are you meant to travel? All right. Everybody with me still? You still with me? All right. So the last thing I want to share is this concept of be the bridge. And I think this is the part to where we begin to take action on turning our pain into purpose. So with this bridge analogy is this, you have adversity that you have faced right here, right? This is you when you went through your adversity, right? Now today you are on the other side of that bridge, right? You have overcame that particular adversity. So this is where you're at right now. When I say be the bridge, you have to be the bridge for people that don't see that there's a way from here to the point to where you're at right now. And so you have to create that bridge. You have to create that moment. You have to create that pathway that lets people know that, hey, you can make it on the other side of this. And you know how? I am living proof that it's possible. So identify some things. Maybe it's divorce, right? Maybe you've been through divorce and you realize that, man, that's a very, very challenging thing. With the rise of rates with divorce there is, like you have so many millions of people that you can impact with your life. If you just took the initiative and said, hey, I'm going to be the bridge for millions of people that are going through divorce and feel shame and feel isolation, feel alone, have a low sense of self-worth because they feel like, man, what did I do wrong to make this go down that path, right? What if you were able to say, hey, these are the 3 things, the 5 steps that I utilize to thrive after divorce? That's purpose in that pain. Am I making sense? Is this making sense? Right now, you can actually take that adversity that was once something very challenging. And when you start sharing your stories, when you start being that bridge, it will begin to make sense. When I started sharing my story, fully embracing it and sharing it, I realized that, man, like my story is connecting me to millions of people across the world, millions of people. And the reason why I say that is because like we are connected to people by a lot of things. Like we can be connected to people because we're family. We can be connected to people because we have things in common. And the most people connect with people when they have things in common. Like you think about your friend group, right? The people that you are the closest friends with are the people that you probably share the most things in common with. And y'all connect based on those experiences, based on those commonalities. And in the same way, when it comes to adversity, we are connected to people that we have not even met yet. Like when I think about this, I mentioned yesterday when I moved from Alabama to Arizona, and I met people in Arizona that were from Alabama. As soon as they heard that I was from Alabama, boom, connection point, right? We have an instant bond because they know certain things that you will only know if you were from Alabama, right? They know certain landmarks that you will only know if you actually have been there, you lived there, or you visited there. And in the same way, there are connection points that we have with millions of people across the world based on our experiences, based on the adversity that we've gone through. And when it comes to experiences and adversity, think about this. If you are connected to people and closest to people that resonate with you, that have things in common, think about this. You probably listen to your friends. Like you can go to a stranger and you can give them insight and they be like, man, who are you? Like, I don't really care about what you got to say. You have no connection with them. But think about this. When you share the same adversity with somebody, there's this connection, there's this bond that's created. And ultimately, there's an openness to what you have to share because you truly understand the place that they're at or what they've been through. So many people try to give advice from a place of a lack of understanding, and therefore it doesn't have the impact that it was designed to have. Like, I feel like so many more people could be impactful if they only based everything off my experiences and giving information based off that. Like, if I don't know something, I don't talk about it. Why should I? I don't know anything about that. But what I know, I know. And that's what I want to share with you. What you know, you know. And you may not think the greatest about how you overcame it, but somebody else does because they have not overcome that situation yet. I want you to realize that there's more power in what the process that you've gone through than maybe what you realize that there is. Like those simple things that you did, like my simple things is that I woke up every day and I found a reason to live. Like so many people aren't waking up and finding all the reasons that they have to live. And therefore they're focusing on all the reasons that they don't have to live. And therefore they're committing suicide. What if I just went forth and said, hey man, I know so many people out there are going through these challenges in life. What I want you to do is I want everybody every single day when they wake up to actually start finding one reason to live. Finding one positive thing that's going on in your life, and I want you to just to focus on that. What if I did that? Think about so many people that are in isolation, so many people that are actually fighting this battle alone. Think about how that could be helpful to those people to where they can realize that, man, maybe there is a reason I have to live. Let me think about that for a second. And then when they think about it, it's like, you know what? Well, something good did happen. And I'll just focus on that for today. And maybe that can get their mind off all the trouble, all the pain that they're facing in that particular moment. But I want to now zero in on you. What are the experiences that you've had, right? Think about those things. Like what type of bridges could you be creating? What type of resources, what type of tools do you possess that can help people get over those situations that you've gone through? Like, do you feel a sense of urgent? Like, do you even feel a sense of desire to do something about that? And I want y'all to comment. Like, do you feel any type of desire to do something about the things that you've gone through? Like, has there ever been a thought that, man, like I feel like I should be doing something about this, but I just don't know how? And I want y'all to comment whether or not you think that you've ever had a thought like that. I want y'all to engage. Have you ever had a thought like that about like you can do something or you've wanted to help others out? Or even if you have not had that thought in this moment that we're talking about right now, is it creating some thoughts of you wanting to do something about that? And if so, what is it that you think that you could do? Think about your process, right? So I'm about to go back. I'm about to rewind and I'm going to go forward, right? Think about your story. Think about your story. All right. I want you to write down some of the challenges that you've gone through with your life. I want you to write those down. Write a list down. What you do? I want you to take a pen out. I want you to get a piece of paper, or even on your iPhone. I know some of you have Androids. I don't know why you have them, but I know some of you do. But even if you have an Android, it's okay. You can still utilize that. I don't know if y'all have notes on Androids, but if you do, utilize that. Okay. And I want you to write down some of the challenges that you've gone through life, some of those very, very pivotal moments that you've experienced. I want you to write some of those down. Okay? And once you write those down, I want you to go to step number 2 and identify which one of these things, which one of these challenging moments, which one of these adversities that you face that you feel like, man, like out of all these things that I've gone through, I feel called, I feel this calling, I feel this tug in my heart to do something about this. And I want you to circle whichever one of those is, because that's the process of identifying your lane. Because you're going to have to make sure that with all these things that you have, all these ideas that you have to pinpoint one. You have to pinpoint one. Okay? So I want you to now, after you go through your story, now you're going to go through the process of identifying one of these ones that you're the most passionate about, that you feel the most called to do something about. All right? Are y'all with me? We got step 1 and we got step 2. All right? And so now when it comes to identifying your lane, the second element of that is when it comes to your story, what did you do to overcome that? Okay? What did you do? Mine has been something as simple as writing down, a reason that I have to live. Even one of the shirts that I created, that was a huge part in my process of overcoming. The shirt, the Pray, Grind, Repeat, was birthed out of this desire to give somebody some resources and some tools to help them overcome. What did I think about Pray, Grind, Repeat? The first element of it is faith. Like when it comes to overcoming adversity, I feel like you have to have faith that it's possible to overcome. Like without faith, like you're not going to put the action behind it that it takes to actually go do the work that it takes to overcome. Right? You may be waddling in pity, waddling in that situation, but you're never going to take the action that it takes to move past it. So the first element that I had was faith. Faith in God, faith in you, and faith in the future. Okay? I'm going to say that again. Faith in God, faith in you, and then faith in the future. Right? So then I said, pray. All right? That was the first element of it. What other resources I think? I was like, okay, what about the grind? I was like, you know what? When it comes to overcoming adversity, there's got to be some work that's put in. Not just adversity in life. Like if you want to accomplish anything with your life, you're going to have to do the work. Nobody is going to do the work for you. Right? Nobody's just going to come around and say, hey, you know what? I just wanted to do everything that it takes in order to make your life better. Sounds good. It's not happening. It's not happening. So with that being said, you have to do the work. And so I said, okay, pray. I said, grind. Okay, you got to have faith in God, faith in you, faith in the future. You're going to have to do some work that it takes in order to get to where you're trying to go. And that third element was repeat. You're going to have to be consistent. You're going to have to be consistent. Every single day I woke up, I had to find a reason to live. I had to be consistent, and every single day I had to do that. Nobody was going to wake up and find a reason to live for me. I had to do that myself. And whatever you had to do, whatever you want to do with your life, you have to do that work as well. And so when I came up with this slogan that I had, Pray, Grind, Repeat, I said, man, if people can embrace these 3 elements, faith, if they can embrace these elements of hard work, if they can embrace these elements of showing up every single day, now I feel like they can overcome any adversity they can face, that they face in their life, and they'll get to where they're supposed to go. They will live a purposeful life if they do these 3 elements. That was my process. And that's why I created the shirt. And so when it comes to you, what steps do you have? When you think about your story, right, and you identify your lane, what things do you have to offer? Like, what do you have to offer? And it doesn't have to be something that's like, these 10 steps. Mine was very simple, right? I said 2 things. I said, wake up and find a reason to live. And the second thing I said was a slogan of pray, grind, and repeat, right? And those are things that I came up with to help people overcome and achieve the things that they were supposed to achieve with their lives. And yours can be that simple as well. Like, don't make this thing that's very difficult. Like, don't make it more difficult than what it has to be. Okay? Is everybody with me? All right. Give me some comments. Let me know if y'all still following on with me. All right. All right. So, and the very last thing that I said is be the bridge. And when this element of being a bridge is very simple, right? You have to make a decision that you want to do something, you want to reach back, right? You have made it on the other side of this bridge and you want to reach back and help others make it across as well. And it's really that simple. It's really that simple. We don't have to overcomplicate this thing. We don't have to make it more difficult than what it is. Being the bridge is actually more simple than what we make it out to be. And so with that being said, like even with this live, right? Even with this live that I'm doing, like I'll be completely honest with you. I had a lot of emotion, a lot of feelings that I had in regards to doing this, because this is the first time that I've ever really gone live and actually shared my true story. You could ask my wife. I was over here nervous. I was like, man, like, am I going to say the right things? But ultimately, I want it to be a bridge. Ultimately, I know that I have to be the bridge, because if one person reaches out to me and said that this has helped them get to where they need to be to overcome the depression, overcome these thoughts that they haven't shared with anybody, then I've done my job. Right? Even though there are millions of people, I told you about 800,000 people that do this a year. Even though there are hundreds of thousands of people that go through this every year, I'm not trying to reach every single body. I'm just trying to reach who I was meant to reach. That's it. And that's the encouragement that I have for you. Don't make it like super crazy. Just reach the people that you were meant to reach. And I'm going to be doing more things with going live and actually, talking to other people about the adversity that they faced and how they overcame, because I want more people to realize that, hey, there's somebody out there that is just like you. And I know that I don't have all the keys to help everybody overcome all they've gone through. But what if I interviewed somebody that was able to help you with your specific challenge, right? To help you with your specific challenge. And that's what my mission is. To help others overcome adversity, whether it be in life, whether it be in business, whether it be in relationships, whether it be within careers. Like, that's what I feel like I am called to do. And that's what y'all will be hearing and seeing from me. But with that being said, what are you called to be a bridge for? Right, I've already gone through these steps. Like, I want you to think about that. And maybe you can't come up with everything within this live. And I understand that it wasn't an overnight thing for me. But I want you to let that marinate. I want you to really think about this and realize that you were called to be a bridge to something. Like, your pain is serving a purpose that you may not have seen yet. But when we fully embrace our stories, when we identify the lane that we were meant to be to walk in, and when we decide to be that bridge, you will see the purpose on the other side of that. I believe with everything inside of me that you will see the purpose on the other side of this if you walk through my goodness, I'm losing my words. If you walk through these 3 steps, I believe that. Do you believe that? Because ultimately it's not what I believe. Heck, I can believe whatever. I can believe the sky's purple, right? You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't really matter what I believe. One of the things that typically happens is the most important conversations that you will have are the conversations that you will have with yourself. Okay? And so, like, a lot of people can say, well, so-and-so has said this about me. They may have said, I remember in high school, this teacher said I wouldn't amount to anything. Now, I was acting out in class, and I will say that if my behaviors continue to be that way, it was going to lead me down a destructive path. That's just the reality of it. But what happens is that she can say whatever she wants to say about me. What do I believe about me? What do you believe about you? Right? And so whatever it is that you say to yourself, it's ultimately going to be those things that keep us from moving forward in life. They keep us from moving forward in life. When we start saying like, man, I can't do that. Guess what? That's true. If you believe that you can't do it, you won't do it. But guess what? If you believe that you can, you can. And it's literally that simple. We have to make sure that we have this personal resolve about ourselves, that we can get up in the morning and we can get to it, because we know without a shadow of a doubt in our mind that this is what I was called to do. But you got to have these conversations with yourself. Heck, I have conversations with myself every single day, Because I could wake up in the morning and I can have the most positive attitude, and in the moment something happens that turns everything upside down, and it can turn your day, what was all great and all dandy and all rainbows and sunshine, to in a moment it could turn to the opposite. What will you do in that moment? Right? What will you do in that? What will be the words that you say to yourself? Right? What will be the words that you say to yourself? And those are the conversations that I want to focus on, because outside of this live, you not have to do that work. You have to do that work, and you're going to have to reaffirm the truth about you. You got to reaffirm the truth about you. You were called to live a purposeful life. Like, if you are born into this world, God has a purpose for you. You may not have realized that, but I promise you he does. And if God has a purpose for you, then it's up to us, it's up to me, it's up to you to realize what that purpose is. And I think what I'm sharing with you tonight will be a pathway that you can utilize to understand your purpose, and not just understand it, but to walk it out. So what will you do? What will you do? That's my challenge for you all today. Will you be the bridge? Will you be what you needed? Like, will you be what you needed at one point in your life? Like, there was a point to where you needed something so great, and maybe you had to go through it by yourself, and you feel a certain type of way about the way that you had to go through that by yourself. Why does somebody else have to go through what you had to go through alone? I just don't believe they have to. But it's on you. It's on you. And I believe there are millions of people. Like, even though I said you could only, even if you only reach one, there are millions of people that are going through what you've gone through right now in their life, and they don't see hope. They don't see hope. They were at that moment that I was at in 2009. Now, I want to get emotional about this, but when I think about that, man, it's like, man, that was a very bad place in my life, and I don't want anybody else to have to go through that alone. And I just want to encourage you that you have to get over yourself in order to be what you needed for somebody else. That's what being the bridge is all about. Will you be what you needed for somebody else? That's my encouragement for you. And I want you to take that encouragement, and I want you to do something about it. And if there's any way that I can assist you in the process of being that bridge, I'm open. Like, I'm open. My phone, my line is open. My DMs are open. My messages are open. I am available because I know that this is what I am called to do. And so I am going to do my best to walk out the mission, the vision, and purpose that God has for me. And I want you to do the very same thing. I want you to do the same thing. And so with that being said, are there any questions? I know I haven't really interacted with any of the comments over here, but if you have any questions, I also have my number down here. It's 480-442-8163. Live right now. If you would like to call in and talk about how you can turn your pain into purpose, or if you want to walk through that, I'm willing to do it live right now. I'm available. That's what I'm making myself available to. Any way that I can help you be the bridge, I'm here for it. And so I'm going to go through some of the comments just to see what people are saying and with that. But any questions? And I'm going to bring them on the screen. So if you have questions, I'm going to answer them live. If you're on Instagram live, you can put your comments there and I will respond to you as well. But I have them coming up on my Facebook Live so people can see them there. So even if you join the Facebook Live, you can actually see what other people are saying as well. Give me 1 second. So Beverly said, the pain is so real at the time. I understand exactly what you're saying. Yeah, it's very real. It is very real. And I don't want anybody to realize that it's not. What you're experiencing is very real. And I don't want to diminish that. Like, it's real, right? But you also can get over it. You have the ability to overcome. And maybe, just maybe, you're not meant to overcome that alone. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm talking about creating community in this process of overcoming, then maybe you need to be connected to a community versus, like, I wish I would have had community in the midst of my adversity. But that means I had to embrace my story. That means that I had to not be so prideful. That means that I had to want help. I have to want to overcome, and you have to want to overcome for you not to just waddle in that and to stay in that place. Does that make sense? And so community is needed. And that's why I believe it's important for you to create your community and for us to have community when it comes to this topic of overcome adversity. Amen. Miss Gloria. Hey, Mama Gloria. Miss Gloria said, God has a purpose for you. Absolutely. And I believe that's for everybody. So I'm going through some more. Bear with me as I'm going through this. Maybe we actually need to be the hands and feet in faith and action. That's Mariah said. Uriah said that, and I believe that we have to be the hands and feet. Like a lot of times in the scripture, Jesus referencing us being the hands and feet of Him. Like we got to be the hands and feet. Like we actually got to do some work when it comes to that. You know what I'm saying? It's like God's already done what He's set to do. And that's what the thing that stands out so much to me in Revelation 12 and 11. Like we have overcome them by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. Jesus did His work. But there's an and that and means it's not just a one part solution. It says the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. That means that you have something left to do to help somebody overcome. So we got to be the hands and feet. I agree with that. I'm going to bring this up. Some people, just so you know, some of the comments aren't coming on the screen, but I'm going to read them. Uriah said, your concept reminds me of some advice from a friend of mine. I had a friend who traveled for relief work in war-torn countries and crazy trauma to people groups. Shortly put, he witnessed a lot of suffering, pain, and death on a big scale. He had the best explanation I've heard in response to pain. The world is like a symphony. The darkness enemy throws in as much noise to disrupt the harmony, but Creator repurposes that noise to make the symphony even bigger. I feel that suffering and pain is the cause of us not playing our part and realizing we're a part of that symphony. That's dope. I love it. I love it. Thank you all for tuning in. I'm just responding to some of the things. Let me see. And Pam said she's still meditating on the concept that I am the solution to someone else's problem. She says, I'm feeling that statement as a present reality for me. And that's real. Like sometimes we gotta sit there. Like, I think it's going to take us because like, let's be real. I don't all the time feel confident about me. Let's just be real. Like I may display confidence and we may display confidence or say that we're confident, but do we all the time feel confident about us? And in moments of like realizing that I am the solution, it's not just confidence, but it's more so thinking of the other side. Like even if you're not confident about you being the solution, can you be confident or can you sort of rest in the fact that even if I don't feel all the way confident about me being the solution, at least I know that I can actually help somebody out. And can I focus in on, can I just do something about this? Right. And then when you feel like you can do something about it, taking the action that it takes to do it. And it's not really that big. Like I don't all the time feel confident. I don't all the time feel like I'm the solution for somebody. But I feel called to do something about this. And I allow my calling to be greater than my feelings. All right, I'm gonna say that again. I allow my calling to be greater than my feelings. And we have to allow our calling to be greater than the feelings that we have about whatever that calling is. Let's see what else. If anybody has any questions, I'm going to go to the end. I like this comment right here. Pam said, a bridge has to lay down first. This allows someone else to cross over. This means we die to self in order to bridge the gap. That's powerful. Like you have to die to self in order to bridge the gap. You got to die to you in order to be the impact that you were called to be in the world. Man, that's powerful. Thanks for sharing that. Let me see what else. Now, if anybody, just let me know if you would like to call in. Like I said, my line is available for anybody that wants to call in if you want to share. And I'm going to go through a few more of these. And I'm going to have some final thoughts. Uriah said, this literally sounds like discipleship. I agree. I agree. And it's easy. Like if you're a believer, this is your platform to disciple. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's easy. Like we make discipleship so difficult. Like, oh man, like I got to go out and reach the nations. Just reach people with your story. Reach people with your life. Like, it's not difficult. When you think about your testimony typically connect, like he says, like your testimony is what like sort of is the bridge or the gateway to help others believe. And that's what this is all about. You're just sharing your testimony with a group of people that are like-minded, that have been through what you've been through. Discipleship. It's easy. Kenny said, man, sometimes someone else's purpose is delayed because you refuse to do the work to reach your purpose. You are the bridge in so many ways. Yeah, I agree. You got to just do the work. So Brooke asked this, and I'm going to respond to this. She says, how does someone respond to feeling being taken advantage of when you feel your purpose is to be a bridge for that person you are helping to overcome? So when it comes to like feeling like you are, I say being used by somebody, I think a lot of times when it comes to this feeling of being used, it's the way we feel about being used. Like, you're supposed to be used, right? In a sense, not necessarily somebody just walking over you and stepping all over you, not in that particular sense of being used, but you are a vessel that is supposed to be used. So if you are a vessel that is supposed to be used, how do you feel about being used? Like when you're in that particular moment of helping somebody overcome, what you have to realize is that they have to desire to overcome. You can't want this more than what somebody wants it for themselves. So the first thing I would say when you feel like being used, feel it as a good thing. Like, hey, this person may not necessarily respond to this particular moment the way I want them to respond to it. And that's okay. They will have their moment to do that, but I'm supposed to be used, right? But at the same time, what you have to realize is that not everybody is going to respond to the bridge. Like, they have to walk across it themselves. You can't walk for them, right? And sometimes we can want it more than what other people want it. And that's when we feel like we're being used. I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, and they haven't responded to it. Like, and that's not on you, that's on them. You just have to continue to allow yourself to say, hey, sometimes we have to love from a distance, right? We have to love from a distance. Say, hey, I'm still available to be the bridge, but hey, when I reach out to help you, it's going to require you to use your feet, right? And that will probably negate some of those moments that we have of feeling used, because it's two people are working together. We oftentimes feel used when you're doing all the work, right? You're doing everything yourself. You have to make sure that these individuals that you're walking over this bridge, that they utilize those feet to actually walk across it. And you're not trying to pick them up and bring it over them. Like, that's that pray, ground, repeat. They have to have faith that it's possible, and they have to do the work. You can give them the recipe. I can tell you how to cook a good cake, right? Bake a good cake, cook a good meal. You got to buy those ingredients, and you got to cook it. Like, you can't be the kitchen, you can't be the stove, you can't be everything for them. They got to want to desire it for themselves as well. Hopefully that was a good response, or if that makes sense. What else? Let me see. What are your thoughts on this? Leave some thoughts in the comments as well. Like, if this has been helpful to you at all, let me know if it's been helpful. And let me know. Also, one of the things that I want to do at the end, I want to talk about what was your biggest takeaway from this. This is a good question. It says, I'm interested to see Junior's response. Okay, so I have somebody calling in. So hold on one second. Oh, hold on. Hey, Uriah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey, can everybody hear Uriah? Can you hear Uriah? I'm on Facebook. Can everybody hear Uriah? Let me know if y'all can actually hear him.
Testing.
Hello.
1, 2, 3.
You can hear him? All right, perfect. All right, Uriah, talk to me. First of all, thank you for calling in, man. I appreciate all the feedback that you shared to this point. And what thoughts do you want to share? What questions do you have?
Bro, I'm just like, I was just hopping on this live, like, while I was doing work. And this is, like, super inspiring. Just listening to you talk, man, I feel like, I just wanted to say, like, I feel like everything you're talking about is, like, on point with, like even, like, I was saying in the comments, like, it's literally discipleship in real life. And and like you said, it's about the people who are right around you. It's not about going overseas and doing these crazy, innovative trips to, like, pioneer something new. Like, Jesus, like, I literally was in the Middle East, like, doing relief work with refugees. doing like cross-cultural trips in the Middle East with places where like they had hard opposition towards like faith and all these different things.
Right.
New expressions of faith. I mean, but like it took that and running into this one person that I was on the trip with. They literally told me like, Uriah, like, why are you, you know what I mean? Are you running to something or are you running away from something? Because in scripture, like when Jesus talks about discipleship, he says, as you go. The literal translation is not like go out of your way to make disciples. It's literally like as you go in life, where you're at, where you're coming from, disciple people. And I feel like everything you're saying is like embodying that. And then I love this. I love this conversation. So I just wanted to shout out and say thank you, man.
Man, I really appreciate that for a couple of different reasons, man. If you realize the place where I was at, you know, when I get into this place about sharing, you know, this information, man, it was very challenging, and so just to have that, you know, that confirmation that you know, this is the purpose, you know, because I think we also need confirmation when it comes to walking out our purpose as well, and so I'm glad that it was right on point, and for you sharing that like that revelation of as you go. You know what I'm saying? Like this is a day-to-day thing. Like as you go throughout your day, it's easy for you to disciple. It's easy for you to do that if you just embrace your story and you understand your story and embrace it and just share it and understand how that's meant to play a part in this whole, you know, this whole thing called life, man. So I appreciate that confirmation, man. I appreciate you sharing that, and I thank you for calling in.
Oh, thank you, bro. Like I said, I just wanted to encourage what you're doing. Like I love it, and I feel like this is genuine kingdom work. You know what I mean? What you're doing here and what you're doing in other people's lives is literally discipleship and discipling people to disciple others. And it's the closest thing to like kingdom work that I've come across.
Oh wow!
Since like working in missions and like going overseas to the Middle East and doing all these different things, like I just want to say I love what you're doing, and I can see my life unfold in the ways that you're talking about.
Wow.
Where you're saying like, it's about like the people who are around you. And it's literally been my journey the past few months. Like I'm literally over here on the reservation because I realized I don't need to go to another continent to not even fulfill, but just be in the path that God wants me to be in.
Right.
So
yeah, man.
Thank you for the encouragement. Thank you, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for calling in.
All right.
All right, have a good one.
Peace.
Man, that man, I want to highlight one of the things that he just shared, and I'm you know, I'm going to be rounding this thing out soon. A lot of times we make it difficult to do the work that we're called to do. I think so many times we can say, oh man, you know, I got to go to, you know, Africa, I got to go to Asia, I got to go to some third world country in order for me to, you know, do the work that God has called for me to do. The mission field is in your backyard. I'm here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. The mission field is here. I ain't got to go across the world. I ain't got to go to, you know, some you know, war-ridden country in order for me to, you know, live out God's purpose for my life. Like on a day-to-day basis, man, I have this nephew. His name is Davis, and he has friends that I spend a lot of time with. And man, I end up sharing a lot of the things that I share with you all. I share it with them. Man, that's my mission field. I talk about what I've gone through, what I've experienced, and I try to help them. You know, they're all in, you know, 10th or 11th grade. One of them is a senior. And I just try to help them navigate this life. But I realized that, man, I want to be that bridge for them. And I don't want it to take as long for them to get it as it took for me to get it. Like I was in probably my late 20s before I got it. Like if somebody can get it as a teenager, you know what I'm saying, man, how much powerful would that be for them? You know what I'm saying? How much more could they do with their life when things make sense in your teens? Like I was just lost in the wind when it came. Like I had no concept of purpose. Like I was just like, man, I got to play football in order for me to be purposeful, in order for me to be successful. And that is not the case at all. That's nowhere near the case. Like I've lived out purpose, and I didn't touch a football field in the NFL. You know what I'm saying? And for you, I don't want you to realize, like, a lot of people sometimes, and I'm going to get into this, and I'm going to go back to the comments. A lot of times people look at, let's say, people that are celebrities, right? We'll see a professional baseball, basketball, football players, soccer, whatever sport it is, a celebrity just in general, and they say, "Oh wow, like I have to do that." Like they're having their Super Bowl moment, they're having their playoff moment, and millions of people are seeing it, and that's what it takes in order to. No, it doesn't take all that. Not that at all. Like there have been people that have started nonprofit organizations. There's a food bank here in Tuscaloosa, and guess what? They feed people every single day. That's work. They made a decision that their mission was to do something about hunger, and guess what? They did something about it. They opened a food bank, and they're living that mission out. They're living that vision out every single day. It doesn't take being on the world stage. Even though I think doing that work would actually get you on the world stage, I don't want you to focus on that, because then you'll actually try to get to that place and negate what you should be doing right there at home. Does that make sense? Like you have so much that you can do. I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of people that live in Tuscaloosa. If I only did something in Tuscaloosa with this message that I have, I've done enough work. I have. And I feel like God is pleased. I ain't got to go to Atlanta. I ain't got to go to Mississippi. I ain't got to go back to Arizona. I don't have to go anywhere else but besides where I'm at. And for you, you don't have to go anywhere else but besides where you're at right now. There are so many people that need what you have right there, probably a house away from you. That's probably your next door neighbor that needs what you have. But they don't know you have it to offer. Like they don't even know you have it to offer. And we have to, and when it comes to being a bridge, I want to say this other point. We have to deliver. We have to communicate about what it is that we have to offer. Like you can't keep it to yourself. Like what good is a light that's stuck up under your bed? Like it was meant to be the lighthouse. It was meant to be broadcast. You actually got to tell people that, hey, this is what I bring to the table. And it's up for people to come to that table and eat. But you got to let them know that there's a meal. Like if you don't tell them there's a meal, then guess what? Nobody's going to come to eat. That's on you. That's what you have to do, right? And so we have to make sure that people know what we have to offer. Like so many times we do these things with a life, whether it's a business, career opportunity, a little side hustle you have. And guess what? We tell the people beside us, we don't go global with what we have to offer. Oh, what are people going to say about it? I don't care what anybody has to say about what I offer. The only thing that I care about, what people have to say about what I offer, is for people who desire that meal. Guess what? If I'm providing steak and you're a vegan, guess what? This meal isn't for you. And that's okay, right? But if you're a vegan, right, and somebody else is serving that meal, guess what? Then they have something that's for you, right? We have to identify not only our lane, but we have to realize that there are certain people that we're called to, and we have to negate that if everybody ain't our cup of tea, right? It just is what it is. But those people that are a part of our tribe, that are a part of our communities, they will come to your table and they will appreciate what you've served. Am I making any sense? Okay, I'm going to go back to the comments. Let's see. Does anybody else want to chime in? Anybody else want to chime in? Says there's people next door who need us, from kids to adults, people we interact with every day. I agree. My cousin Ola, hey, how are you doing, Miss Ola? She says, very inspiring. Much love to you. Continue to do the work God has purposed you to do. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. And so, with that being said, if anybody has any questions, definitely put them down there. But if nobody else has anything else, I just want to sort of go back over what we've talked about today. I want to talk about why I'm passionate about this, and it's all because of my story. Like the reason I'm passionate about this is because what I've gone through, and I want you to realize that your passion points, like you have passion, right? And so I'm going to give you a little scenario. We have passion, Lord have mercy. We have purpose, we have passions, and then we have gifts. Okay, we have purpose, which is what we're called to do with our life. And then we have passion, right? So we have to take the purpose that we have with our life, which I've already communicated what my purpose is, right? Then I have to align with my passion, right? We have to want to do it. Like you can't just not be excited about doing it because like it's not going to keep you in the game, right? So there has to be some level of passion, some level of drive as it relates to, you know, what your purpose is. And we connect those two things together. But then you have a gift, right? Your gift may not be my gift and vice versa, right? You have to utilize the gifts that you have in order to walk out your passion. Walk out your purpose with passion. Okay. You have to utilize the gifts and the talents that you have, right, to live out your purpose with passion. Okay. Like, let us not be the person. There's this parable in the Bible. It talks about the man with 1 talent, the man with 2 talents, and the man with 5 talents, right? And the person with 1 talent, what did he do? He buried his talent, right? The person with 2, they went and they multiplied theirs. And the person with 5, they went and multiplied theirs, right? You were meant to multiply the gift and the talent that you have. Like, that's what you were called to do. Do not bury it. There's a second part of that I think is so profound. Like, one of the things that, like, I don't think is talked about enough with that, like, the man that buried his talent was punished. He was punished. He was like, it was bad for him. He was like, why would you bury your talent? I gave you this and you went and buried it. And he was punished for that. You were meant to multiply, right? And whatever gift you have, whatever talent you have, multiply that thing, right? Multiply that thing. Don't bury it. Like, it's not meant to be buried. What's dead is buried, and you're not dead. You're alive. You're alive and well. And so with being alive, go out and multiply. Okay? Go out and multiply. So I'll go back over this. What are you passionate about? So we talked about our purpose, our passions, and our gifts. Understanding your story, right? Have those aha moments. And hopefully you all have had some aha moments that make you go back and think about what it is that you're supposed to be doing with your life. Right? Maybe, hopefully you realize that there are people that are stuck in a place that you're the solution to. I want to make sure I highlight that you are the solution. You are the solution to somebody's problem. And don't you think anything otherwise than that. But you got to realize what that solution is, and you got to serve it to the people that need it. Right? And how are you going to go about doing this? 3 steps. Embrace your story, all the elements to it, the ugly parts of it. It's okay. I got some ugly parts to my story. And guess what? Those ugly parts are beautiful to somebody. It's beautiful because they're in the midst of it and I'm not in the midst of it anymore. So the beautiful part about it is the fact that I'm on the other side of it. There's beauty in your mess, right? There's beauty in your mess. You have to first overcome and then now show people that it's a possibility for them to do that same thing. So embrace all those parts of your story and then identify your lane. Right? I have those things that you wrote down, right? Those things that you feel like are parts of your story, right? Write them all down, right? There's challenges that you've gone through and highlight the one that you feel like that you were called to do something about, right? And the last step of that is a now go and be the bridge. That's it. Go and be what you needed in your life for somebody else. And that's all I have to share with you. Like, I appreciate so much for you all, man, just joining this live. It's been one of the greatest moments of my life because I'm really walking out some of the elements that I had back in 2014. I got this revelation back then when that conversation that I had with my friend, but it's been bits and pieces that I've gotten more parts of the story and more parts of the puzzle. But with that, even when I had parts of the puzzle, like, I didn't always do the work that was necessary in order to get to the place to where I'm in front of you right now. And I don't want you to be like me. Like, don't have something that is beneficial for somebody and don't do anything with it. Because there's people sitting there suffering for things that you have the answers to. And I want you to think more about the people that need you more than you think about you. Right? Think more about the people that need what you have more than what you think about you. And with that being said, I want you to go and be the bridge. You are capable. You are equipped. You have it inside of you. You are more than a conqueror. You are above and not below. You are gifted. You are talented. You are not your past. None of that defines you. The only thing that will define you is what will you do with what you have. That's it. Take that. What will you do with what you have? I want you to all to go and be great. I love you. God bless. And I want you all to have a great night. Thank you so much.